I just bought this 2002 Subaru WRX for $500. I got this thing from someone off Facebook Marketplace, and it's not exactly perfect, so come along with me while I unravel its mysteries. Alright, I'm trying something new, guys. I'm setting myself a goal to try to build this WRX, all in, from me buying the car, to fixing the car, to maybe even upgrading the car, for $2,000.
The hell wrong
Is it
with
possible?
you?
I don't know. Stick around with me. I really don't know if it's gonna be possible. I think it's gonna be possible. If you weren't here for the last video, I pretty much bought two WRXs, one in 08 and this one a 2003 for $1,300. But originally this guy was asking 500 bucks for this one, so we're gonna use 500 bucks as that metric. Even though I did sell the other WRX for 3,500, so you know, I pretty much have a free WRX plus some extra cash. For the sake of this build though, we're gonna be like starting fresh, as if I just bought it for 500 bucks. But first, this thing's pretty filthy. And then we caught a homeless person sleeping in it last week. So the inside's even worse than when I got it. So I need to clean this thing. I need to like disinfect this thing. I don't want to work on this like how it is. So we'll start with that.
Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust.
Honestly guys, I'm still in disbelief that I got this thing because it had been on Facebook for a day before I messaged him, and he said he had someone coming to get it. I mentioned how much I don't like selling stuff on Facebook, and it apparently resonated, and he told me to come get it. It was an hour away, but honestly, it was well worth the trip. After the quick clean, all of the car's imperfections started to become more apparent. Overall though, it was still in decent condition, let's just say that. You know, I brought back a lot of cars from the dead, and it still amazes me how much a 20-minute wash will do to a car. Like, this thing went from $500 to like $1,000 just in 20 minutes, you know? I mean, it's not perfect, but like there's still some shiny on it. And now we can get a better look. I mean, like some of the paint's pretty damaged. There's more dents and dings than, you know, I can imagine. I found out one of the taillights has a hole in it, which sucks. But now we get to dig in to the bones of it, and I already know what's wrong with it. Real quick though, this interior was pretty disgusting when I got it. So I just did a quick vacuum wipe down, and it made a huge difference. Okay, so going into this, I knew that this thing had a bad engine. The person I bought it from told me the story was he had the engine rebuilt about 10,000 miles ago at a Subaru shop, and then 400 miles ago he had the transmission rebuilt. And unfortunately, you know, 400 miles after the transmission was rebuilt, the engine went bad. So he couldn't remember if there was a new clutch or any parts like that, but all the aftermarket things that were on here, he parted out first. So it's missing the intercooler, the intake, a radiator, a battery. I just noticed it was missing an alternator. Yeah, and probably lots of other things that I have not seen yet. So to begin with, I'm just gonna take this engine out because we're not gonna use it. I mean, ideally I could take it apart and rebuild it, but for this video, I don't think it's worth it. I have something else in mind instead. In order to work on a Subaru, you literally just need a 10, 12, and a 14 for like almost everything. AC compressor bolts, heater hose lines, ground bolt, throttle cable bolts, brake booster hose. So it looks like all I need is just the transmission bolts and disconnect the engine mounts, and it's out. It feels so weird. I feel so unsatisfied. Oh, okay, starter. Let me take the starter out. My bad. Starter. All right, so this is a Japanese engine. This one is a twin turbo, and I can't use anything from it. So we got to strip absolutely everything down, even down to the timing components. And then I'm gonna strip all the stuff off of this one and then start swapping it on here. I think all of the gaskets, all of everything on here has less than 10,000 miles. So it's practically new. So I'm gonna see the condition of everything and then make calls for what I should replace, what I shouldn't. Yeah, I think we'll be able to get everything swapped in the next hour or two and put it back in. Flip it over. That was cool. I've never torn down a twin turbo EJ, so that was interesting. It'd be really cool to own one. I've never felt what that would feel like. Twin turbos in an EJ sounds like a whole lot of fun. Some of you have felt that. I know one of you out there. But yeah, next step, let's tear out on the front. It seems like it needs valve cover gaskets. On a $0 budget, it seems like I don't want to do that. But I also like this car, so I'm gonna do them. I'm gonna go find some for sale. But for now, let's keep tearing it down. I got worried for a second just because the belt was super loose and the tensioner is not functioning all the way. Like it's almost seized, fully engaged. So I was a little worried. I checked the timing. The timing's good. So I think it just probably happened from sitting in the elements or whatever. Let me just go take apart this other one real quick and see how it's doing. Editing that teardown scene took me forever, guys. So if you're enjoying the video, please consider subscribing, liking, disliking, or commenting if you feel like it. I appreciate you guys. I have spent way more time than I would have liked kind of taking this one apart. One of the coolant crossover bolts broke inside. So yeah, I managed to get that out luckily, cleaned everything up, gave the whole engine another clean because I was like, why not? I'm already here. But for the most part, it's stripped other than like a couple little things that I will need to block off because this one was twin turbo. But we'll get into that. But for now, I just want to start back to where I was. So I got to put the crossover on. There's a lot of stuff that you have to swap from the US engine onto the Japanese engine. It's pretty much just the block is the same. But even then you still have to block off a couple ports because these heads are, you know, different. Let's just get started. Torquing the crossover bolts. The timing marks on the cam are completely different on the JDM engine, so you have to swap the US one on. Same with the crank. And you have to swap both sensors or they won't read. So we gotta do that real quick. I put all the pulleys on. I just realized I had an extra belt I accidentally bought and I don't want to return it. So I guess we're getting a brand new belt, which makes it easier to time. So, real quick. Okay, so camera battery died. Front stuff on. I did forget a clip, so I did take everything completely apart too. Yeah, I forgot to put something on, so I'm human too, guys. Now I'm gonna do the exhaust and oil cooler housing and then take off any oil feed, oil drain, coolant lines for the turbo and block off the other side. And then it's finally time for the intake. Or then I gotta put the clutch on and the flywheel. And then it's finally time to put it back in and then see what else I'm missing. Fantastic. I've been running around grabbing parts all day, going through all these random nuts and bolts because this thing was missing everything. And then all the stuff I took off of it is different, you know? Yeah, it's been a little annoying. Budget build. I'm pretty sure I forgot to press record, guys. My bad. All right, so it got dark. I assembled the engine. Everything's on here. Absolutely all the accessories. I changed valve cover gaskets and any other gaskets that I thought were leaking, including the rear main seal. This is where I'm gonna have to end this episode. The next episode is gonna be involving a lot of used and cheap aftermarket parts from Facebook and online, whatever I could find, so that we can make this thing hopefully make 300 horsepower. Hopefully. It is a Subaru, it might blow up. So stay tuned for that episode, because it should be really interesting to see what happens. And if this video does well, I'll keep doing stuff on this. If not, I mean, probably gonna end up selling it. So if you guys show it more love, you guys like the Subaru, let's get this video some views. I just want to take a second to thank everyone who has donated to the channel. You guys are like investors, and I appreciate you more than you can imagine. As always, guys, I appreciate you watching, and I hope to see you at the next one.